Well, that was unfortunate. The Colorado Buffaloes looked like they might be able to hang on and steal a victory, and unfortunately, they lose in sad fashion, losing to the Kansas State Wildcats. Your final score 31-28. I feel like the Buffs let one get away today, which is very unfortunate. Just a winnable game. Travis Hunter goes down. Jimmy Horn Jr. goes down. I think that certainly had an impact on this game, but straight up the offensive line was not good enough, in my opinion, kind of shades of last year. But again, the Buffs were in it to the very end. They did cover that spread, but a loss is a loss as they fall to the Kansas State Wildcats. Your final score, once again, 31-28. We'll break it all down for you guys here on your Locked On Buffs postcast. Drop some comments. Let's get into it, folks, and we'll break down this game.
You are Locked On Buffaloes postcast, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Buffaloes postcast. Hope everyone is hanging in there out there as the Colorado Buffaloes come up short tonight in a game that, as I mentioned in the open, I felt was very winnable. When you give Shedeur Sanders the ball in his hand with 2 minutes left to play, we've seen him time and time again deliver in those big moments, and unfortunately tonight unable to do so. I'm not trying to make excuses, but not having Travis Hunter out there, not having Jimmy Horn Jr. out there, a lot of injuries for both teams in this matchup is certainly going to make an impact in this one. But why don't we just kind of start with that final play of the game for the Buffs on offense? Shedeur Sanders on fourth down getting a little wild, in my opinion, with the fade route down the sideline. A pass intended for Will Sheppard. Now, was it PI? Was it not PI? I kind of understand what the broadcast is talking about in the sense of it was probably an uncatchable ball, but the way that I saw it, the Kansas State cornerback had his arm draped around Will Sheppard's waist. Like they were like at a homecoming dance. It's kind of how it looked like to me. But I think because the ball was deemed to be uncatchable, thrown essentially out of bounds, that's why you don't get the flag there. But I can't be too upset with the no call. Like I think that it wasn't a blatant call, I guess is what I'm saying. But still, a frustrating way for this game to end. Like I said, Colorado pulls away with the lead there towards the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter, but just gives Kansas State and quarterback Avery Johnson just a little bit too much time, and the Buffs defense on that final drive, after coming up big in the second half at a handful of times, unable to get the job done, unable to protect the first and only lead for Colorado in this game as they end up losing tonight 31-28. Of any of you guys got some comments, some thoughts on the game? What do you think was the biggest deciding factor in this one? Drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. As I always like to say, I'm the host, but you guys help me drive the show. So I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think went wrong for Colorado today. My big thing, like I said, with the injuries, just brutal, losing Jimmy Horn Jr. and Travis Hunter out there. Obviously, Travis is the best player in college football. And to lose your cornerback one and your wide receiver one for virtually what felt like the entirety of the game, but primarily the entirety of the second half, that is a gut punch. But I think Colorado fought. And like I said, it looked like they were going to have an opportunity to seal the deal there. And I'm getting ready to, kill Kansas State for not running the ball late. About 6 minutes left in the game. They had an opportunity to kind of just put the game on ice, and they pass, interception, near pick six for Colorado. But unfortunately, it did not matter because they were just able to, keep this thing going, and it's a frustrating way to see a game end here. Colorado at one point takes a 28-24 lead, and Shedeur Sanders was able to find Terrell Timmons Jr. for a 6-yard pass. That got it to the Kansas State 11-yard line. And then LeJontay Wester, who stepped up big today without Travis Hunter, without Jimmy Horn Jr. on offense. He was able to score a touchdown, and there was 3 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the game at that point. And like I said, when you're that late into the game and you score that late touchdown at home, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, especially because quarterback Avery Johnson for Kansas State was not really throwing the ball much today. There was very much ground and pound type of attack, which we expected from Kansas State. I thought the defense was bad early, rough early. That was one of the things I said on the pregame show here. And if you listen to the Mile High Sports SCO show with my buddy Chase Howell and I, we talked about how one way that Colorado was going to be able to go out there and steal this game and win this game. They did cover the spread. It was 3.5 right before kickoff, so Colorado gets a win there. But, you had to make Kansas State feel uncomfortable. And unfortunately, that was not the case, as it felt like Kansas State was able to just kind of do whatever they wanted, at least on the ground here. But again, Colorado takes a 28-24 lead with 3 minutes and 12 seconds left. And then it's all kind of downhill from there for the most part. I mean, Kansas State, it takes them 3 plays and 51 seconds to reclaim the lead. As let's break it all down here for you real quick. They get the kickoff return, obviously, and then Avery Johnson throws an incomplete pass, which makes it 2nd and 10 here on their own 16-yard line. So they're pinned pretty deep, and then just a broken play, broken defense, broken coverage from Colorado allows Avery Johnson to complete the swing route to DJ Giddens for a 34-yard chunk play. And that right at that moment, it's like, okay, Kansas State's, essentially at they're at the 50-yard line, and so now they're they're feeling pretty good. Kind of sucks the life out of the Folsom Field there, and from there they deliver the game-winning strike, or what inevitably would be the game-winning strike, is Avery Johnson, a 50-yard touchdown pass to Jace Brown for a 50-yard touchdown, and that's all she wrote. Chase Brown had a good game today. Avery Johnson was able to, do some stuff late on that final drive for them, which ultimately helped push them to victory. But where's the defense? Where's the bite? Where's the fury that we've seen this Colorado defense play with? They just fell a little asleep at the wheel in that final drive, which is unfortunate because, like I mentioned, Shedeur Sanders in the previous drive was able to put the team on his back to an extent. Will Sheppard had a decent game. But they just fall short, and I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie. When Colorado got the ball back, they only had one timeout. I don't know why Coach Prime ended up making that one challenge in the middle of the fourth quarter there. I mean, Colorado could have used a timeout or two. And, when Shedeur Sanders got that ball back with 2 minutes and 14 seconds left to play, I thought he was going to do it, man. I really, really thought he was going to do it, but the offensive line was not that good today. They started out that final drive, a completion to Dallin Hayden for 4 yards. I mean, he was almost blown up and sacked. Colorado calls that was the 2-minute warning at that point. Shedeur Sanders then gets an incomplete pass and then a false start, which was it was technically a false start, but interesting timing to call all of that. Again, not making excuses, but it was, to the naked eye, did not look like a false start. But then when you slow it down on replay, of course it does. And then, like I said there, on 4th down, Shedeur Sanders, or this is on 3rd and 11, excuse me. I think I read that out of order. I did read that out of order. But 4th and 5 at the Colorado 30 with 1 minute and 21 seconds left to play. Shedeur Sanders, where we started the show, throws that fade route down the sideline intended for Will Sheppard. Could it have been PI? I would not have been upset. Kansas State fans would have been probably upset. But that was one of those situations to me where the fact that the ball was thrown out of bounds or was deemed uncatchable by the officials is why that is not deemed to be a false or pass interference. Sorry, it is. What time is it here? 12:15, 12:17 in the morning. A little tired after that one. And it's crazy. It just feels like the wind was taken out of their sails. And they were talking about on the post-game broadcast, I would have liked to see Shedeur work the middle of the field a little bit more. And that felt like a hero type of ball. If that's to Travis Hunter or even Jimmy Horn Jr., I'm okay with it. And that's no disrespect to Will Sheppard. And look, if they complete the pass, if they get the flag, we're not having this conversation right now. But that's not how this game went. That's not how the cookie crumbled in this situation. But, Shedeur liked the coverage with Will Sheppard, threw it up, said a prayer, and unfortunately the ball falls incomplete. And that's just the way that it goes sometimes, guys. But, I would have liked to see Shedeur try to work the middle of the field just a little bit more in that situation, because I feel like just throwing the sideline route there in a play that you have to have, 4th down with the game on the line, that's a risky throw. It's just not a high percentage throw. And at the end of the day, like I said, if that's a completed pass, if it goes the other way, we're not having this conversation. But the reality situation is it was incomplete, no flag, Buffs lose. And that's all she wrote. So drop some comments, guys. What do you think about this game? What do you think about the rest of Colorado's season? That was a big game for them. Had Colorado been able to knock off Kansas State, I'm over here yelling and screaming and talking about how they're going to be ranked in the top 25, how they might have a chance to win the Big 12 championship. I don't think the Big 12 championship is completely out of the question still, but now it's you essentially kind of have to kind of win out, I would imagine, unless the conference and everybody around them just collapses. But that's one that Colorado's going to want to get back. They're going to wish that they had another chance to kind of do it over, play better defense, get the offensive line going early. They outscored Kansas State there in the fourth quarter, 14-7, and unfortunately that kill shot there at the end from Avery Johnson put this game on ice as Colorado's defense gives up a touchdown in essentially 3 plays in 51 seconds. So you don't like to see that. A little rusty maybe after the bye, but this was not like Nebraska. Colorado straight up got demolished. They got beat. This one was a very, very, very winnable game, and Colorado just unfortunately fell short in this one. But all right, why don't we hit our first break? When we come back, we can continue along with the conversation. We'll talk about the loss of Travis Hunter, the loss of Jimmy Horn Jr., go over some of the statistics for the guys that stepped up in their place, and we'll do just that when we come back right here on your Locked On Buffs Postcast. Stick with us, folks. All right, you guys. Ooh, hold on. Where did my thing go? All right, there it is. Let me tell you about our friends over at Hims, guys, because, guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that way they can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you the boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever you're in the mood and that mood strikes. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside of your door. Guys, you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom? It's time for you to stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident knowing you can get hard and stay hard whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their genetics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's Hims, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions, they do apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription is required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Be sure to check out our friends over at Hims, hims.com/lockedon. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Buffs Postcast. Hope you guys are doing all right out there. Tough loss for the Buffaloes. We had a great turnout here, though, at number 38. Me and my buddy B. Moon sitting up here in the front. We're the last two survivors. It is 12:22 in the morning. What a depressing way to end the night, though. Man, I thought they were going to do it. I really thought they were going to do it. And the more that I think about it, the more that I get frustrated at that final play from Shedeur, man. Work the middle of the field. And again, if that's the Travis Hunter instead of Will Shepherd, I'm okay with it. But that's just a low percentage throw. That's a low percentage play with the game on the line. Fourth down. You want to run that on third down, I can understand and give yourself another chance. But what was it, fourth and 6? And they're unable to get the job done. But Shedeur had himself a good game today. That interception he threw was terrible. Under pressure all afternoon, though. Shedeur, 34 for 40, 388 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and the 1 pick. Colorado's run game was just non-existent today. They had negative 29 rushing yards in the game, folks. Minus 29. That's like a Denver Broncos rushing stat line for this season. Dallin Hayden had 7 carries for 11 yards. Isaiah Gustav had 3 carries for 10 yards and a touchdown. Shedeur Sanders, he's the reason why they're in the negative. Negative 50 yards rushing, and that's because he was running for his life out there. But as I mentioned, Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. departing early in this game. They were involved early, both combining for a total of 6 receptions. Travis had 3 for 26. Jimmy Horn had 3 for 20. And, you just weren't really able to see much more out of those guys due to the injuries. But Omarion Miller, a guy that I absolutely love, stepped up in this game for Colorado, 8 receptions for 145 yards. Will Shepard had 5 receptions for 83 yards, did drop a give-me pass in the red zone, was able to make up for it with his touchdown reception. LeJonte Wester had himself a nice game, 5 receptions for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns, and including the one that was the go-ahead touchdown there in the fourth quarter. But really, that's kind of all she wrote. No fumbles. Nakai Hill-Green led Colorado's defense with 10 total tackles. DJ McKinney, my guy, interviewed him this week. He had 8 total tackles. Cameron Silman Craig made some big plays, 7 total tackles, but just not good enough, especially in the clutch at least, for this Colorado defense. But Kansas State was able to get things rolling. And again, guys, drop some comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this game. Where does Colorado go from here? What went wrong for Colorado? What was the one thing that stood out to you the most that prevented the Buffs from winning this game? Let me know. Drop some comments right here on your Locked On Buffs postcast. You guys can also follow me on social media at Media by AP. But as I mentioned, they did a decent job of keeping Avery Johnson in check, at least in the passing game, for a majority. Up until that last drive, only passed 23 times today. 15 for 23, 224 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And that was a clutch interception for the Colorado defense, which ended up setting up that LeJonte Wester touchdown that gave Colorado the lead. But the run defense was an atrocity today. DJ Giddens absolutely ran all over this Colorado Buffaloes defense. He had 25 carries for 182 yards. DJ Giddens put the team on his back today. 182 rushing yards for an average of 7.3 yards per rush. That is not going to win you any games. That's not going to do you any favors. And we knew that that's where this game was going to start and end. So if Colorado was able to, even if Avery Johnson doesn't lead the Wildcats to a game-winning drive there at the end, and Colorado miraculously wins this game, I mean, you were never set up for success if you're going to let DJ Giddens run all over you. And that's exactly what he did with nearly 200 yards rushing, 7.2 yards per carry. That is not getting you anywhere if you're the Colorado Buffaloes. And so you want to see them clean that up moving forward. But, I talked about it on the pregame show. I felt like this matchup was almost a combination of North Dakota State meets UCF. And we saw Colorado answer the call on defense against UCF. At one point, the number 1 rushing attack in the country, but unable to continue along with that in this game. I thought that that's how the UCF game was going to shake out. I thought that they were going to get run all over, and that was not the case against the Knights, and it was the case tonight against the Cats, as, again, DJ Giddens just absolutely ran wild. He's a great running back, man. You can't take anything away from the kid. But that, to me, is the body of work, the story of the game for Colorado. But, outside of that, just they struggled, a ton today. Only 4 for 11 on third down. They were decent on fourth, 2 for 3. But only 359 total yards of offense, and essentially all of those coming from the passing attack, 388 passing yards. They ended up with 359 because of the negative rushing yards as well. But, just outside of that, man, 19 rushing attempts for Colorado. Penalties, they had 5 penalties in this one. And, they lost the time of possession battle as well. And that's the thing when you go up against a team like Kansas State is you just know that, when they're running the game, slow the game down a little bit. Kansas State had the ball for 33 minutes and 46 seconds compared to Colorado for just 25. And, that touchdown or that interception, I think, from Shedeur also comes back to bite him in the rear end because they were in the red zone, or maybe they weren't completely in the red zone, but they were trending that way. And you don't turn the ball over there. Yes, Colorado did give an opportunity. Yes, Colorado bounced back and was able to gain a lead in that game. But that Shedeur interception, man, if they can convert that into points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, it's probably a much different conversation as well. So I'm not trying to blame Shedeur completely or anything like that, but that interception, could have very well been the difference in this game, outside of the fact that the defense just did not show up there at the end. So we'll have to see how Colorado ends up trying to respond. They've got Arizona next week, but man, that is a frustrating way to go out in a game that I felt was very, very, very winnable for Colorado. Shedeur did his best, with his top two wide receivers down. I thought Robert Livingston made some decent adjustments in the second half as well to try to slow down the Kansas State rushing attack. But whichever way you slice it, man, it's a disappointing way to end your Saturday and go into your Sunday morning as the Buffs losing to Kansas State, your final score 31-28. But okay, let's hit our final break. When we'll come back, a couple of thoughts on the game. Let's talk a little Travis Hunter here. Hope he's okay, because we know that Colorado is going to need him if they want to try to be competitive here moving forward. They're at 4-2 now, so the season is not over and done with by any stretch of the imagination. But again, I think the frustrating part about this loss is if you were able to eke out the win, you're waking up tomorrow, you're waking up on Monday, and you've got a number next to your name, and you're talked about as a legitimate contender in the Big 12. After the loss tonight, I think we have to pump the brakes on that conversation, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes. So let's hit our final break. We'll come back and put a bow on the show right here on your Locked On Buffs postcast. Stick with us, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Check them out at FanDuel.com. And it's actually funny that this is the read I'm doing because my boy B Moon, he was using the FanDuel app. He was like, he had some money on Oregon. He had some money on this, a little money on that. And it's crazy how the FanDuel app is like faster than like the Bleacher Reports or the ESPNs, like the non-sports betting apps of the world. So I actually personally use FanDuel. My friends use FanDuel just to kind of keep track of the scores as well. And I also found out this new thing. I was playing this a little bit during halftime. You guys ever heard of FanDuel Face Off? Extremely fun, free to play, or not all free to play, but you can play for free. You can play for some real money as well. I'm a big FanDuel guy. I've got some wagers. Let me tell you here. Why don't I read you guys some of my wagers here real quick for the football slate? Because I'm pretty sure I bet everything that I did on the slate tomorrow in FanDuel. Like I said, though, Colorado did end up covering the spread tonight. Let's see here. Broncos 3-point underdog. I'm on them. I like the Cowboys potentially tomorrow against Detroit. And again, I'm getting all of my bets in on FanDuel. Be sure to check them out, guys. FanDuel.com/lockedon. And one more time, let me tell you about them. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Check them out, FanDuel.com. And one more time, FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Buffs postcast. Couple more minutes because it's about to be 12. Oh, it's already 12:30. Jeez Louise. It's about to be 1:30 by the time I get home from this, which I'm fine with. I got to eat what's on my plate. I love this show. I love doing all this kind of stuff, but these 8:15 kickoffs, man, absolutely killing me. And it looks like the Buffs got a little tired there at the end as well, on defense in particular, but not having Travis Hunter. I mean, I think it's safe to say that if Travis Hunter is out there, they win this game. Because I think that Shedeur Sanders did a good job of making things happen with the other receivers and the other players out there. But on that last drive defensively, I think you missed Travis Hunter on defense tonight a little bit more than you missed Travis Hunter on offense. So hopefully he just gets banged up. It was a shoulder injury, I believe, for Travis Hunter. And hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later because they need him moving forward. He is the life and soul, the heart and soul, rather, of this CU Buffs team. Shedeur Sanders is great. But Travis Hunter is the straw that stirs the drink, just because of his impact on both sides of the ball. There's a reason why you see him, near the top of the leaderboards now for the Heisman Trophy. He's the best player in college football. So to lose Travis Hunter and Jimmy Hornet Jr. in this game, forced Shedeur Sanders and the offense to think a little bit outside the box. But you gotta play with what you got. You gotta play the hand that you've been dealt. And I thought Shedeur, like I said, did a good job. The two problems I have, or I don't even want to say problems, but the two issues, the two question marks around Colorado's offense today with Shedeur Sanders is that final play, not working the ball over the middle a little bit, taking a risky shot down the sideline, maybe hoping for a PI, and it could have been called, but they didn't call it. Would have much rather seen him work the ball over the middle of the field and that interception, because if Colorado is able to get some points on the board on that drive, it might be a very different outcome. But Xavier Wolf says big L, massive L, gut-wrenching L, gut punch type of L for Colorado as they fall to 4-2, their first loss in conference play. But again, I think the depressing and disheartening part of this loss is because if they would have been able to win this game, the conversation would have been crazy around this team. And I mean, here's the other thing. Yes, the Buffs are on the losing end of it. You can't say they're not entertaining. I mean, really, every single game they've played this year, except Nebraska, has been a very engaging and exciting game to watch. I mean, it was a little slow there for a minute. Buffs offense, they were down, 10 or 14 points at one point in the middle of the game. And then they kind of pick up, right? Everyone's kind of getting on the edge of their seat. What's going to happen? Is Shedeur going to do it? And, he does do a good job there at the end, leading LeJohntay Wester for a touchdown. But, outside of that, man, the guy can't do it all. He, as much as we want to think he's Superman, as much as we want to think, that he's Tom Brady, because I saw those comparisons being thrown out there. He's a kid still. He was a college football quarterback. He doesn't have all the experience in the world. And this brings me to my last point. The offensive line was an atrocity tonight. I mean, it was shades of Nebraska. And I know a lot of these guys that are on the line this year were not on the line last year, or were in high school in Jordan Seaton's case, whatever it might be. It is just brutal. It is absolutely brutal as Shedeur Sanders takes a handful of sacks, and a lot of them for losses. At one point, an 18-yard sack, his sixth sack of the night that was. And I think it's a combination of the offensive line, but Shedeur also loves to hang on to the football. And that works out more often than not for him, it feels like. He's great at improv and kind of, figuring it out and doing a little shimmy shake. But the offensive line, man, just did not do a great job of keeping Shedeur protected. I think if he has more time, and an ability to navigate the pocket a little bit more, maybe this game ends up a little bit differently as well. But the offensive line was just absolutely brutal, shades of last season, and they've got to figure that out quickly, because I thought the offensive line in the 3-game win streak had been a lot better. We got a comment here. That was a great game, super entertaining. Colorado is a lot better than I thought going into the season. I agree. And I think, yes, they're at 4-2, but I think this is a much different 4-2 team than the 4-2 team we saw at one point last year. I'm curious to see how they respond now. I expect them to respond in a big way moving forward. But again, the disheartening part of this is this was a very, very winnable game. They'll play next week at Arizona, a 2 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff on Fox. So they're on national TV once again. No surprise there. But they need to bounce back, because at that point, they only have 5 games remaining. Versus Cincinnati, at Texas Tech, versus Utah, at Kansas, versus Oklahoma State to end the season. But that's all she wrote, folks. Shedeur unable to put the team on his back, clutch late. And I hate to say that because I'm not trying to blame it on Shedeur, but it is the NFL, or it is football, rather, excuse me. The quarterback is the most important position out there. I thought he did play well, but, maybe not as crisp, not as sharp as we've seen him, in years past. Offensive line struggled. Wide receivers did a good job, though. Like, that's the thing. It's not like they weren't getting open. They were able to get open and make some good plays. LeJohntay Wester, Will Shepard, Omarion Miller. Injuries hurt both sides here, so you can't really blame the injuries on Colorado, because it felt like Kansas State was losing a player every other play in the second half in particular. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss, a win is a win, and you got to tip your cap to Kansas State, Avery Johnson and company getting the job done. Defensive line was, not great, missing some assignments there on the final drive, which ended up pushing Kansas State over the top. And that's it. That's really all there is to say. So, all right, folks, that is going to do it for me on tonight's episode of your Locked On Buffs Postcast. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. As always, you can follow me on social media at Media by AP. Make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way, you don't miss an episode. And here's a quote from Shedeur Sanders on the no call at the end of the game. No, whatever the ref calls, he calls. That call wasn't pass interference, so it's okay. We just got to move forward, focus on what we did wrong. So that is the mentality. Deion Sanders tonight on Shiloh Sanders, who didn't have the best game. I thought he played horrible. I thought he was rusty. I thought he didn't have his footing, but he's going to do better. So a couple of quotes to get you guys on your way here on this early Sunday morning, unless you're living in California where you got about 20 minutes left of your Saturday night. So really appreciate you guys. As always, again, you can follow me on social at Media by AP. Subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never miss an episode. And if you guys want more Buffs content, check us out online at Mile High Sports and the Mile High Sports YouTube channel. We just hit 10,000 subscribers on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe over there. Good Buffs content with me and my buddy Chase Howell on the SCO Show. But Buffs lose tonight in a heartbreaker, 31-28, your final score against Kansas State. And that is all she wrote. So enjoy the rest of your night, folks. We'll talk to you guys next week, hopefully after a bounce-back win for the Buffs against U of A.